guys, AllyZieMage here and welcome back to another vlog. Today I'm going to be talking about what it's actually like getting a tattoo. Also, if my glasses slip down, I have a weird thing on the bridge of my nose right here that's kind of red. I don't know why or where it came from. But yeah, anyways, tattoos. So, I actually haven't really talked about my tattoos that much on this channel. Or really, ever, anywhere. But I have 4. There's probably 2 that you may probably have seen if you've watched enough of my videos. There's this lovely one right here. It says words. It's personal. Yeah. And then I have my second one, which is this one. It's on my shoulder, arm area. It's just a lion. His name's Simon. It's because I'm a Leo. Not too specific. And then I have a rib one right here. Camera. I'm gonna have to stand. Yeah, I have this rib one right here. That one took a while, and it was painful. I have another one on my back that's it's healing right now, so it looks a little gross. I also don't feel like trying to get a shot of it, but here it is here's a picture, yeah, because I have pictures of it. So I have 4 tattoos. I have gotten all 4 of them within the past year. Actually, it might have been slightly over a year since my first tattoo, when I got the 4th tattoo. But, first one was the last week of my A term in college, my senior year. So that would have been like the 2nd week of October, I want to say, something like that. It was early to mid-October last year, and that was this one. This was not bad at all. It was actually quite easy. It took half an hour to an hour. I think it was definitely less than an hour because I paid $80 for the tattoos. The tattoo artist fee was $100 an hour, but they were doing a student discount of $20 off the price of the tattoo because it was October. That's literally the reason. That's part of the reason why I did it. I was a walk-in, and one of my friends went with me, and she got a tattoo. Yeah, it was a good time. It was not that bad. So, from where you can see on it, if I can twist my arm properly, right here where the D is, that was probably the worst place. Just going straight down that line on the tendon right there. That was painful. Otherwise, for the most part, it was really easy and not that bad, and it honestly does feel like cat scratches. So if you have a cat and it's dug its nails into you, that's pretty much what a tattoo feels like, continuously, on repetition, for X period of time. Granted, you do get breaks. So, I might have taken 1 or 2 breaks for this one. I think I probably took 1 or 2 breaks for all of the larger ones. I'm pretty sure the one on my ribs is my largest tattoo. It took 3 hours, and it was constantly painful. It is not the most painful though, but I will go in order of when I got these, of explaining things. So the one on the shoulder is not that bad for the most part. It only starts to get bad about here on the flames and up, because especially right here you start getting to a more bony area. There's not so much flesh. This is all just flesh. It's like, yeah, easy, not painful. So rule of thumb for tattoos is that usually it's more painful the less meat there is. So not necessarily where the skin itself is thin, but where there's not much underneath the skin. So good areas to get them are things like your calf. From what I've heard, that's really simple. I do not have anything below my waist for a tattoo. But like arm right here is not that bad. Someone I know has a tattoo on the shoulder as well. He said it was not painful whatsoever. Actually, I almost fell asleep during it. I have also almost fallen asleep during a tattoo. You're pretty bored there. You're just sitting there, and depending on your artist, they may be talking with you and having a conversation. They may not be. Who knows? This one, I think, took... I went to it instead of going to class. I'm pretty sure I went longer to my class, and my class was a 2-hour class. I want to say it was 2.5 to 3 hours. It definitely did not exceed 3 hours, though. It is colored, so that's part of the reason why it took so long. So like this one took 2.5, this one took 3. So yeah, part of the reason that this would have taken so long despite the size is because it is colored. Color is, I don't think it's actually more painful. Like, I don't think inherently color is painful, so if you are doing an outline that is in color and not in black ink, I don't think that's going to be more painful than just straight black ink. It's color, your skin doesn't really care. It feels more painful though because color is what's done after regular ink, so what they do is that they go through and outline everything, and then they start going in for more details, whether that's shading like you saw on this one, or if it's color like you saw on this one. It's also shading on my back. Will depend on how it feels. So something like this, that's just going in like a circle and just like continuously putting ink in. This is specific techniques of like lines and like dots. So it feels a bit different. Pretty much you're going over irritated skin that's already been like murderously pounded for a while. So it's going to hurt again. It's pretty much like if you have a bruise and then you poke the bruise, it's going to hurt more than if you just poke the skin where there's no bruise. It's like if you poke here, it doesn't hurt, but I have a massive bruise on my leg right now. I don't know how I got it, but it hurts if I poke it. That's the difference. The amount of pain between that's probably a bigger magnitude with the tattoo than with a bruise, but that's essentially what's going on biologically. It can get to the point where if your pain is at a high enough point, your skin starts to reject the ink, and that's when you have to stop and pretty much make a follow-up session to continue the tattoo. You can't do a tattoo over a tattoo. I think it's within 3 months, 6 weeks, something like that it needs to heal for before you can go over it again once more with ink, and that includes continuing and that includes touch-ups. So depending on the studio you go to, depends on if touch-ups are free. The one that I got these two tattoos at, touch-ups are free. The other two tattoos that I have, I never asked. This one was done in Boston, and it is a bit of a commute for me, so I don't think I'd go there just for a touch-up, because those usually don't last for so long. It's also my ribs, it hurt like hell. Ow, I'll go back. It probably takes the most mental control to do a rib tattoo, because one is bloody painful as hell. It is continuous pain. We'll get into that with my back, but a rib tattoo is continuously painful. It just always hurts. No matter what. One tip I have is to actually breathe while you're getting the tattoo, because it hurts less. Fun fact. But your body's like in immense pain. You're just like, don't breathe. But it's like, you should breathe. It does help. Get a tattoo artist who you feel like you could have a good conversation with during the tattoo, because that's what I found out during my back, is that the pain actually goes down, or your perception of the pain goes down quite a bit when you're in a conversation, you're talking to someone about it. It feels significantly better. Or like bring a buddy with you. Have some way to be talking while doing it, because talking also makes you breathe. And it is really hard for the tattoo artist if you're not breathing at a specific rhythm, or like in a continuous rhythm, and like if you just suddenly go and inhale while the tattoo's being done, it could throw off their lines. I never did that. I was pretty good with my breathing. But I've heard stories from my artists about how that's happened. That's like one of the most nerve-wracking things, is that it's like pen off immediately, like ugh. So try to breathe, and try to breathe normally. Try to keep like a good rhythm going. Don't just like take sudden deep breaths if you can prevent it. I know from first-hand experience, and your tattoo artist probably does as well, that sometimes you can't help but to just go because it hurts. And your body will have reactions that you cannot control. But otherwise, there's not really much else to talk about with the rib tattoo. Like, yeah, it hurt. I think it's up there in terms of like aftercare being a bitch. This and this were pretty good for aftercare. So for reference, aftercare varies by the studio that you go to of what they will suggest you do, but it usually involves some combination of, for the first 3 to 7 days, washing the tattoo 2 to 3 times a day and applying an ointment on it. Now, ointment is a really fancy word for something that keeps bacteria from penetrating in. So it's just this very thin, slick barrier that bacteria cannot go through. It's usually things like Aquaphor or A&D ointment. A&D has vitamins in it, Aquaphor does not. Some people think Aquaphor is more water-based. It can be, depending on the one that you get, and da 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 da. And then after that, you continue washing it a couple times a day, and you apply lotion non-scented to it. And whenever you wash it, it should be with non-scented soap, preferably liquid, because it's harder for bacteria to grow on that because you're not constantly touching it. It's not open to the air. So that's aftercare for a tattoo. I'm sure you can imagine that if it's on your back or your ribs or probably like your upper thighs, it's really hard to wash that in a sink. So I would just shower a couple times a day when I was being responsible, and when I was not being responsible, I just hoped for the best and or wetted a wash rag but did not use soap. Which the bio part of me understands is probably an awful idea. But the only tattoo that I've had that's gotten a pimple is this one. It was after it healed, so it's okay. It's pretty much just to prevent infection and to help it heal a little bit better. Don't pick at it, it will scab. It is essentially a massive wound. You can reopen it and lose ink if you pick at it. So just let it scab off by itself naturally. Usually will happen in the shower or in your clothes, etc. It can also stain your clothing and sheets, so be cautious of that, but don't cover it with like saran wrap to keep that from happening, because then that locks in moisture, makes a really good ground for bacteria to grow. Yeah, it's a fun thing. So that's another thing of when you're getting a large tattoo or a tattoo that's not in an easily washable place, to just kind of take that in consideration that the aftercare is going to be a bit. That one was the most painful, but for short periods of time. Needles going over your spinal cord is the most painful thing. The second most painful thing that I have ever personally experienced. The most painful thing is my heart surgery back in 2017. In terms of other daily life pain that most people will probably go through in their life, and people who are getting tattoos that might be on the back, the spinal cord is the worst part of it going over. Hands down, no competition, but it's only for a short period of time. It's not the entire tattoo. So that's why I'd say ribs is still the most painful area to get a tattoo in, because it's continuous pain, whereas the back, you could completely avoid the spinal cord, actually, depending on your tattoo. I mean, it was a bit bad going over the shoulder blades as well. Like, that wasn't fun, but it wasn't, oh my fucking god, please just kill me instead of doing this. Like, that was the closest I got to thinking of, like, yeah, maybe I will just walk out and just have a completely unfinished tattoo on my back. I guess one last thing is to trust your tattoo artist when they're wanting to do a little bit extra to the tattoo. Usually they will design it for you, and you get definitely a say in it. It's on your body, it's yours. But at the end is when they usually go through and do what are called highlights, and it's usually with white to whitish blue ink. But it's to bring more highlight to the tattoo. It's also on my back one and some of the scales and the fangs of the snake. It hurts like bloody murder, and I just it was not fun, but it does bring a nice pop to the tattoo. It brings some nice color and dimension, and it's definitely worth it. Like, it at that point, like I said, each time you go back over the same area, it gets more and more painful because it's like poking an already irritated area. It just hurts more because it's already irritated. But it's absolutely worth it because of what it does to the tattoo and how it makes it prettier and just really brings the entire piece together. But yeah, that's kind of what it's like getting a tattoo, more or less. It's kind of became really tangent-y. But yeah, it is painful, depending on the area. Surprisingly, the wrist was not that painful. A lot of people would think it is. It's just going over that one tendon, at least for me personally. Also, keep in mind with this, I do have a relatively high pain tolerance. I grew up with 3 brothers, wrestling with them all the time, and I played sports pretty much my entire young adult life, and I have no concept of physical self-preservation. So, I have a very high pain tolerance just because I had to be conditioned to that by my lifestyle that I chose. And, of course, previous experiences that I've gone through, like the heart surgery, have also made me more tolerant to pain. But I wouldn't say I'm the most tolerant person, by no means. So, put me at, like, a high average. So, if you tend to experience pain more intensely than your friends, a tattoo in like the same places as me might be even worse than how I described it. But maybe you grew up with a cat and you're just like numb to cat pain at this point, so it's not going to bother you because it feels like cat scratches. Who knows? Take it with a grain of salt, but those were my experiences. I've never had a negative experience with a tattoo, like aside from it being painful, but nothing to make me not want to get more tattoos. Yeah. Anyways, hope you have yourself a magical day, and I shall see you the next time. Bye.